Today, if you look at call center people, they're going to get replaced by bots. There's no choice.
Okay.
Any organization where managers don't have time for people, people leave. People don't work for companies. People work for people. I started my career, I was selling calculators. Calculators those days used to call 10,000 rupees.
What more, sir? We need some more hacks.
The biggest strength that you can gather in the world is the art.
Ajai Chowdhry, the co-founder of HCL Technologies, a tech giant now valued at over 5 lakh crore rupees. A visionary leader honored with the Padma Bhushan, he shaped India's IT revolution and earned his title as the father of Indian hardware.
I think people are the priority. People make the company. If you don't give priority to people, why should people work for you?
A 24-year-old starting his career, 3 things which he should focus on.
Please don't do one thing. It is about telling your boss that.
Welcome to Workwise with Naukri, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
We have known you for your interest in technology, sir.
Yeah.
5 decades in the front row seat, watching how things have advanced in this country, in this world.
Correct.
How do you look at the future? What's going to happen in the next few years? The top 3 predictions considering the technology and the career advancements.
See, India's direction very strongly till now has been around services. And I believe that now we need to take a different direction. Today we are sitting at about $2,500, at per person GDP. And therefore we are in a middle income trap. We need to get out of that. And the direction we have to take now is to move to products. So you look at what India has created in the last 5 to 8 years, which is, let us say, India Stack. Then you look at 4G, 5G stack, vaccines, Vande Bharat. These are all examples of where a lot of R&D went into creating products, which are world class. So I think that is where India must move now.
So considering this, what should a working professional focus on? As of this date, what should someone focus on to build a career and be in the top 1%?
As I said, if we want to move towards being a product nation, what is essential is that we must learn how to make products. Today, our education system does not teach us to make products. And if you look at any engineering college, people do electronics, but they don't know how to make a product. They do mechanical engineering, they don't know how to make a product. So that is the learning that we have to do. There's a lot of self-learning that is possible in today's world. It's not necessary that you're taught by a teacher. And everything is available online. You can go to MIT or any of these institutions and learn. So that's one way of learning and keeping ahead of what is required. Because tomorrow's game that we have to play as a country has to be a product game.
In terms of the advanced technologies, what do you think would be the game-changing ones in the next few years?
You see, there's so much buzz around AI today.
Yes.
And I think every executive and manager has to understand how to use AI. You don't need to be a nerd to, actually be programming and this and that. No. But you need to know what the application of AI is in your particular job. See, till yesterday, if you look, all banks were branch-oriented. Today, all banks have become IT companies. They're less bank rather than more IT companies. So that same change is occurring in any organization today, where you can start to use AI to your advantage. And that is what people must learn to do. Today, people are worried about the impact of AI, that it will take away jobs. That's not true. It will create new jobs. I was reading the results of Accenture yesterday. The amount of business they are getting from Gen AI today is phenomenal. So suddenly a lot of changes are taking place because AI is starting to percolate.
But people have this fear that any job which is repetitive or mundane, that would get automated or replaced. So how do they manage that fear?
Look, it's going to happen. Today, if you look at, call center people, they're going to get replaced by bots. There's no choice because it's much cheaper and faster.
Yeah.
But newer jobs will get created. So the situation today and for the younger people for tomorrow, etc., is going to be to keep up with all the technologies. Don't be scared of any technology. Grab it, learn it. And today learning is so easy, as I said earlier. So much is available online. I do believe that tomorrow's universities may not be required even. Because everything is becoming available to you at the time you want to learn. You don't have to go to a fixed class and learn anything anymore. So I think that kind of habits that people have to form to do self-learning is going to be very critical in the future.
I'm curious to know which new jobs will be created.
Look, within AI, there are so many applications of AI. So you will need to learn, for example, the health application of AI. You need to learn how to manufacture products using AI.
Do you find the future is scary?
No. Future is not scary if you embrace it. If you start to worry about it, yes, it is scary. Like, for example, I've been following many futurologists, and Ray Kurzweil is one of them. And he talked about singularity is going to happen.
What's that?
Singularity is basically when brain and computing will merge.
Okay.
So at that particular stage, you will be able to upload stuff into your brain.
Wow.
Imagine that. So today, you're looking at software being uploaded onto a disk. Tomorrow, you will upload intelligence into your brain. So that is when they say singularity will happen.
So all those who are not blessed with intelligence, they have good days lined up. So as a working professional, knowing that the future is still a bit bizarre, you're not sure of what may happen. You've been through a similar space 50 years back when you did not know that we will have AI of this sort. What was going in your head, navigating through those complexities?
You see, somehow technology always came easy to me. And I adopted and adapted to it very quickly. So when I started my career, I was selling calculators. Calculators those days used to call 10,000 rupees.
Yeah. 10,000 rupees.
10,000 rupees.
Okay.
And when we sold calculators, we never sold them as a product. We sold them as a solution. So I would go to a chemist in a sugar mill and tell him how he could do his calculations for yield better by using a calculator, rather than say, here is my calculator, it can do plus minus, etc. No. You need to present it as a solution. So that's the kind of learning I had very early days of my career. And then right through my career, as I adopted to hardware and software and the growth of what I've seen both in hardware and software, it's been amazing. Naukri happened right in front of my eyes, and it was so amazing to see the emergence of how e-commerce could be used so early. Lot of companies, learned it much later. But Naukri happened pretty much as one of the pioneers. So one of the things that happens in technology, whoever is the pioneer becomes the biggest.
A person, as of this date, in his mid-20s or 30s, feels a bit shaky. That what lies ahead for me as a working professional. So what advice you would have for him?
Well, that's what I say in my book. I call it Just Aspire. And I say A is greater than R. So if you have the aspiration, resources will happen.
Interesting.
And this is something that Dr. C.K. Pralad taught me when I went for my school management program at Michigan. And he always used to say that don't worry about your resources. If you have the aspiration, it will happen. It happened with us in HCL. When we started HCL, we had 1.86 lakhs. And we needed a license to make computers. We didn't have a license, we didn't have money, but it all fell in place. We went and found that UP government was sitting with a license. We picked it up from there. We formed a little marketing company, created cash flow, and we managed to do all the things. We started with 1.86 lakhs, and today the company is $14 billion in 70 countries. So it is all about aspiration at the end of the day.
Where do you cultivate this from? Is it a muscle? Because a lot of us aspire for a great life, a great career designation. Everyone who joins any organization that one day I'll be the CEO or maybe like someone. But still not everyone gets to that level. So where are they missing on?
You see, a a lot of people do not focus. They keep on going all over the place. The whole concept is that you must focus on a few things which are critical and just continue to pursue those. And if you put excellence behind it, then you can be successful. And from there comes the aspiration to do it better and better and better and better. And the aspiration to succeed. A lot of people work within companies and they become entrepreneurs. They do things like entrepreneurs within the company and they're very successful. So I feel that is a beautiful model. And this is something that we followed in HCL, for example. We had close to 12 different verticals where people were working. And each of them was like a CEO. And they had to manage their own P&L. So they learned how to create an entrepreneur type of environment within the company itself.
This shift in mindset, how can someone bring this mindset that, okay, I need to focus on these three things? A lot of buzz is there, a lot of advice is there, a lot of distractions are there. How can I narrow down on these three things which will be a game changer for my career in this organization?
You see, you should put down, I always do something very simple.
Please.
I take a piece of paper, sit and write what are the various things that I'm looking at. And I said, these are the top 3 out of the 10.
Example?
Let's say if I'm looking at a strategy to win a contract,
Okay.
I draw a complete diagram of who will do what and how will I win that particular deal, for example. And I would create a mind map of that and figure out who are the people who would influence something like this. And then I start to focus on the first 2 or 3 critical ones. So I go after that first and do the rest later.
And people go wrong over here.
They tend to go all over the place.
I'm stuck. I have a boss who says, follow the path, follow the path. I have aspirations. He doesn't give me resources. How do I manage my work and create a path for myself? What will you say to that person in the organization?
Learn how to sell. The biggest strength that you can gather in the world is the art of selling. And it is not an art, it's a science. If you sit down and learn how to sell, then it's selling an idea. At the end of the day, what do you do when you go and talk to your wife to say, I'm going to be buzzing off for 3 days? You have to go and sell the idea to her. So selling an idea is very critical. And at the end of the day, if you are able to convince your boss through a very good strategy to sell your idea, you will succeed.
Any framework which you followed to convince your bosses, your clients?
Very simple. These are all things that, as I said, if you plan something ahead of time, it works. If you're just trying to do things off the cuff, it doesn't work. So, for example, when I would go to meet a customer, initially, when I was a salesman, I would carry a little chit in my pocket and I would write down, these are the 5 things I want to communicate. And I would put it in my pocket. And as I would enter the room, I quietly take it out of my pocket and keep it like this. And I'll make sure that I go through all the 5 points. That's how success happens. So you plan for it. It's not just off the cuff. Only when you start to grow and you've got experience, you can do a lot of stuff off the cuff.
So knowing when to talk to your boss is also
Catch at the right moment. Catch at his weak moment. Catch it. Catch her accordingly.
What more, sir? We need some more hacks. Experience.
It's not about pleasing your boss. It is about telling your boss that you can do a few things which others can't. And always think of differentiating. There will be 20 people reporting to the boss. You need to stand apart. You need to differentiate. You need to do things which others are not doing. And that is what will attract the boss to work with you better. Because he or she will realize is that you're adding value to his work.
Yeah.
And if you're adding value, then he's going to be more successful. And his success is your success. And please don't do one thing. Go and don't stand in front of everybody and say, I did this. No. My boss did it. Even if it's your idea, let it become your boss's idea. And then you can be more successful. When I go to meet government officers, so many government officers I worked with, I never ever tell them that, never ever talk about an idea which is mine to remain mine. I always say, it was your idea.
At times, as an individual, I may have certain aspirations, and that may not be in alignment with the corporation and their goals. What do you do in that case?
I think at that stage, you need to take a view whether the organization can give you another position within the organization which will meet your aspiration. Oh yes, I've come across such people. And one good example was a terrific executive in Mumbai who used to report to me. He was an outstanding salesperson. He was an outstanding manager of salespeople. And he suddenly one day said that, I don't see any place for me here in the organization. And I've outgrown this organization in some manners. I want to do something different. So I'm thinking of leaving the company. So I sort of sat down with him to try and understand what his aspirations were. And then I said, okay, I think we might have some other opportunities for you. So I arranged for him to meet the chairman of the company and told him that, look, this guy is an outstanding individual. We must not lose him. So let's find some new project that we can do together with him. And so he came to Delhi. I introduced him to the chairman. And then they spent few hours together. And at the end of the day, a new project was found for him, by which he opened a completely new business in the organization and made it extremely successful. So these kind of things are quite something that you must seize upon. Don't let people just go off because you've not spent time with them. Most times I find when somebody is resigning or leaving, the manager does not spend time. Say, abhi ja raha hai, isko jaane do. That should not be the attitude. The attitude should be, drop everything that you're doing at this moment. Sit down with that individual and spend time to understand why or she wants to leave the company. And you then start to work on making something happen by which he or she can stay.
A lot of managers don't do that.
They believe something else is more as a priority. I think people are the priority. People make the company. If you don't give priority to people, why should people work for you?
Knowing about your journey, sir, you've been known to shake hands with every individual, no matter there are 1,000 people, greeting them, wishing them a happy new year.
Yeah.
Is it true?
Yeah. Yes, actually, I used to do something which is later on I learned was called management by walking around.
Mm-hmm.
So literally every day of the month, I would sort of walk down some corridor in the office and sit and chat with somebody or the other. Could be a junior sales guy or an accountant or anybody. And I would just go and sit with them and have a cup of tea and chat, and just like that. And you see, this really gives you a great strength. You get to know your people better.
Yeah.
And you get to understand what are their pain points. What is it that as a company we are not doing for them? And then you start to create strategies by which you can overcome that. So I used to have another session which was called Coffee with Ajay.
Mm-hmm.
We coffeed, you know who. And this Coffee with Ajay was a normal concept in the company. Every month I would go and sit with a particular team and have a cup of coffee with them. And then 15, 20 of them in that particular department would tell me what is happening. That way you not only just come closer to your people, you get to improve their performance because you are recognizing them. They are not just A, B, C, D. They are Ajay, Biswas, Chowdhry and Dheer. They are not A, B, C, D. That's what's more important.
As a working professional, what should he do? I mean, you were running an organization. You need to know who's doing what to build the connect. There are some leaders who still feel that, don't disturb me. Let me focus on my work. Let me focus on my work. We can do all these chit-chatting later on. What advice do you have for them?
You see, the most successful managers in the world was Jack Welch.
Yeah. NG.
People today do not remember him, but he created GE. And what he said was that my job is to spend 80% of my time on people. 20% of my job is the rest of the job. So if you're going to give more importance to the job at hand and not people, then you are going to not succeed as a manager. You have to learn to be able to have time for people. And when any organization where managers don't have time for people, people leave. People don't work for companies. People work for people. It's managers who they work for. And if the manager doesn't take care of them, they leave because of the manager.
You happen to work with a lot of people in the HCL, right? Top 3 traits which you found in people who are really successful.
The most important trait that I look for is need for achievement. And that's something that you can test with people. So we used to have a test in HCL by which we could figure out whether a person had the need for achievement or not. So I think those are the successful people because they have need for achievement.
Number 2?
Number 2 is humility. This is something that I look in everybody. Because if you do not have humility, then you do not work with others. And third thing that I always look for is quality of communication. If you can communicate well, then your future is guaranteed in some manners. Because as you keep growing more and higher, the quality of communication that you do with your people becomes very, very critical. And that's how you inspire people.
Yeah.
And if your communication is really horrible, you cannot inspire people.
Any episode where you were able to inspire people?
Oh, many times. You see, in every company, it so happens that you have a sinusoidal curve. Sometimes you're really doing well, sometimes you're really down in the dumps. And in a particular quarter, you've not performed as a company. At that particular stage, you need to take people out from the depths of despair that they are into. And you need to be able to get them up and get them going all over again. So I've done many times, I would just create a film. And I would tell my marketing guys, go create a film to inspire people. And the whole concept was based on sports. So we would have a guy scoring a goal, somebody scoring a century, somebody hitting a 6, Yuvraj Singh hitting 6 sixes. All of these things we would put package in one particular film. And I would then take them to an offsite. And we will sit down and talk and say, guys, we haven't performed. Now let's do something different. And then we show this film. And after we seen the film, let's figure out what we should do now this quarter. How can we do better? And in a very positive way, you start to get going. And then later in the evening, everybody sits down with a drink and everybody starts to communicate and sing and talk and all of that. That communication, that camaraderie that you build that day. And at the end of that particular day, you say, yes, we will do it. That spirit is something that you need to bring in people. And that's how you encourage people.
That's leadership. Beautiful. A 24-year-old starting his career, 3 things which he should focus on.
The 24-year-old must focus on one thing, learning. The day you stop learning, you will never succeed. Second thing that the youngster must do is to be very particular about delivering on the task that he's been given. If you don't deliver on the task that you've given in time, you will not succeed.
So important, in time.
You can't just float and let the time happen. No, you must deliver. And the third thing is the humility. Again, I want to come back to how you actually work with others in your organization. See, somebody else might have also been given a task. That person is struggling, not being able to complete the job. You go across and help. How does it matter? don't be competitive with others on your team. Be open and more accommodating and helping rather than being competitive. Because competition is not what is going to help you to grow.
Because you learn a lot and someone is watching you.
Yeah. People observe. See, tomorrow there are 20 people team. One of them is going to become the next manager. So the other 19 are looking at you. That how have you behaved with them when you are not a manager? You see? So when you grow up, you'll be accepted more.
Yes.
Because you've been so nice and good to others, but still being demanding. It's not that you leave demanding. I mean, sometime, in your organization, you have to be autocratic.
Mm-hmm.
You can't work only with consensus because you know what the right track is. So therefore, you know better and therefore you will teach people.
We have a fun element over here. So we have had a lot of serious talks out here. You've been from the era of 70s and 80s and 90s, and we're talking about 2024. There are some terms, some new workplace like jargons, which I'm going to ask and see whether you know the meaning of those terms or not. Ready for that, sir?
Most times I'll fail.
You will kill it. So the first term is office peacocking.
I think that fundamentally means that you want to show off in the office and be the peacock, the hero. I think that's what it is.
Next is coffee badging.
I think this is something about the kind of coffee that you have.
Uh-huh.
And some people will say, I want decaf, this, that. When I go to America, I go crazy because the questions that get asked of me at a coffee shop are so many that I said, just give me what I want. Probably that's what it means.
So out here, it's about that work from home and people want to come to office just to meet their colleagues for a cup of coffee. So it's just like uniting.
It's coffee unites you.
Coffee unites you.
Yeah, I got that.
So what happens on a Friday evening, it happens every day in the office in form of coffee. So there is no hard drink. There's a room for the coffee badging.
Yeah.
And you can always like network over there and go up the ladder.
Yeah.
That's one way. The third one, resentism.
Resentism.
Yes, sir.
Resentism probably means that you're somebody who's always resenting others because they're doing better than you. And I think that's not the right thing to do. So maybe that's what it means.
So you are resenting that, I don't have anything, lack of resource, but you're still continuing with the organization.
Yes. Well, you're bitching about the organization mainly. That's what it is all about.
You're still there in the organization.
Yes.
If you don't like it, move on.
Yeah.
People would resent,
yes,
complain,
keep on cribbing and complaining and not doing anything about it.
Never even change the organization.
Yes.
Interesting. Last one, sir. Dry promotion.
Okay, basically dry promotion probably means when you actually promote a person, give him or her a title, but actually you don't give him salary equivalent to the title. So what that does is that it meets his or her requirements of a position, but you lose nothing because you've just given a title.
Beautiful. And this works very well.
It works.
Because of the person's need for power.
Yes. People's need for power. People need to say that I have arrived.
I mean, that was their aspiration to just be there.
Yes.
Irrespective of whether they are being compensated or not.
Yeah. And also it works even when you actually recognize people, as I said earlier. It's not just money, it's recognition.
So you work with a lot of like startups and the new age companies. What are the modern day like challenges which leaders face?
In startups and newer companies, people have a challenge of hiring people because they're just starting out. And when they're starting out, they're small, they're a startup, they're really not able to offer the most grandest salaries in the country. So at that particular stage, you need to challenge them. So when HCL went to hire people from Institute of Management, Calcutta, when we were just starting, we finished the presentation on what the company was going to do. We had nothing. So all the guys asked us, why should we join you instead of joining Hindustan Lever? And we said, we are not offering you a job. We are offering you an adventure.
Adventure.
Yeah. And that's what HCL was. We offered them an adventure. They all joined.
That environment which you created, giving them adventure, how can a company create that work environment where people are made to stay back? Else, with so many options that the people have, they would choose to just switch after every 2 years or 3 years. So 3 things that a company can do to retain people and have a favorable work environment.
In HCL, we used to call it PPP.
PPP.
Yeah.
What's that?
Pride, passion and performance.
Okay.
What we would do is to get people to have great pride in the company.
That they represent this brand.
Yes. And then as you go forward, pride, passion. Passion is something that you create within the company. The environment that you create of passion. Passionate people who want to always perform and do better than anybody else. And the last thing is performance. So if you have pride, you have passion, performance automatically happens.
For passion, the leaders have to be passionate.
Yes.
That is how it's going to work.
Of course.
Or there's any other way.
Of course. No. That's the way it works. You have to lead with passion. If you don't lead with passion, people don't perform. Sometimes you need to give that pattern type of speech to people. And that's what I mean by creating that passion. You have to say that the guy across the tape, in the war, you got to just go and kill that guy. That's your job.
Mm-hmm.
You need to create that passion.
Mm-hmm.
That's what Patton used to say.
What happened in Mahabharata? Go and kill.
Yeah. Different strategy. But it's all I think it's different in a manner. But at the end of the day, Krishna also said, you got to win.
Yeah.
You can't not sit back and not win.
Over here in your office, your library, you, an epitome of knowledge, always seeking, always learning. What's that one thing which you crave that you would have learned early in your life, which should have shaped your career in a different way?
Learn how to play an instrument. I never learned how to play an instrument. When I was young, my sister used to say, learn the tabla.
Mm-hmm.
And I tried like hell, I couldn't do it. So I started playing the tabla with my mouth.
Mm-hmm.
But that was not good enough because I couldn't still play an instrument.
Mm-hmm.
So one day when my younger son was growing up, I sort of felt he had great affinity for music. So I went and bought a guitar and gave it to him. I said, guy, I never learned to play a guitar. You please learn. And he learned and he became so good. And today he's a composer.
Wow. Any advice which you would have expected or wanted in your career back in those days?
When I look back, I think I've had a very reasonably good career.
Yeah.
And I don't think I would have done better than what I have done. And however, in some areas, I wasn't good enough.
Like what?
See, for example, I was fantastic in strategy.
Mm-hmm.
I was fantastic in sales. I was fantastic in managing people. But I was middling on finance and accounting.
Mm-hmm.
I could manage, but I was not fantastic in that. Doesn't matter. I had people who were working with me who gave me tremendous inputs to have that area covered beautifully in a much better way.
Thank you so much for doing this.
Okay.
It was a pleasure having you on the show.
Okay.
And Workwise with Naukri would always remember you for this episode that you did for us. Youngsters who would be clueless would get a direction for sure listening to you through this conversation. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for watching this episode of Workwise with Naukri. I hope you had great insights from this conversation with Mr. Ajai Chowdhry. Share with us your top 3 learnings which you had while listening to him, and share this episode with someone who may need it.